Hey, what's going on? How have y'all been? Hope y'all have been well for the last, several months. Today, I actually have a review video for you. Actually, I'm thinking of unboxing well. I think I'm uploading them both at the same time. But anywho, of the Cayin portable amplifier, headphone amplifier, the C9. So, thanks to this Memorial Day weekend, I've been able to have a week and like 3 days with it. So, I thought it'd be good to share my thoughts with y'all. So starting with the construction of which, as you can see, the construction is absolutely beautiful and top-notch. So the entirety of it, except for the bottom, is made out of CNC aluminum. And so it's very robust, it's very durable, but not as heavy as one might think by looking at just how massive this thing is. The bottom is made of very beautiful glass, which has kind of kept the aesthetics of their DAPs and their other products. However, I do have a negative with the glass, and as you can probably see just by the video, the glass does scratch, so it might be good to put like a screen protector on. On that note, the scratches that are on here, I'm sure you saw this part right here. I'm not going to take it off, but the scratches that are just on this plastic sleeve are likely not to the glass. That is very good, because I'd hate to have this $2,000 product already have scratches on it. The front and sides, as well as really pretty much the back, don't really have much of anything on it except for the logo's name, and kind of like the model number and generalized description. And then the left side looking at it has your pre-out option. The front of which is where you will find the 3.5mm input, 4.4mm input, the line amp out option, so either you go line or pre. So if you want amp to power the volume, in addition to your source, or in pre, with this mode turned on, only the source controls the volume. So essentially the source is the preamp, this operates as the power amp. That is the mode that I personally utilize the most. I personally and subjectively had the best results with it. But to each their own, it's just an option you have. However, with that note, if you when at any time you use this, and as you can even see mine's already set, make sure your source and the C9 is at the minimum volume. This is because, as I did once by accident, if you switch to pre and don't adjust your source's volume, you are getting blasted by a frick ton of volume, and it hurts. My goodness, and I was actually writing, and I was silly because I was doing the written part of my review. As I was writing it, that happened, so I made a long paragraph of a warning to y'all to not share my pain. And I do mean physical pain. It hurt. Like for several hours afterwards, it hurt. Moving on, you have your high and low gain. You have your power button, which when you turn this on, there's about a 3 second delay, 2-3 second delay that gets the system warmed up. That way it gives the best audio results and it's not shocking the system. You have your buttery smooth pentometer volume control. You have your 4.4mm output, 3.5mm output. Your timbre, this is my favorite. I love this so much. This was so cool. So this whole unit is a solid state by definition. There's no tubes. However, when you change the timbre to tube mode, which is what I have it in, it sounds like it's a tube amp. It is so cool. It's not a tube amp, but it has that sound. Even cooler, on the sight glasses, that actually glows a kind of like a tealish color. And it's not the tubes, is it the JFETs? These two are that's glowing. But that is a cool feature. Like it's, again, not a technical tube amp, but the sound and appearance is a tube amp. Anywho, so if you turn it to the other one, that's your solid state option. So tube, solid state. On the class side, you can adjust the power setting. You can either be class A or class AB. A, subjectively and in personal opinion, and I think even its specification page says this way, it sounded a bit more musical, which I'll get onto more in the next section, but it just sounded more musical, more enjoyable, more relaxing, versus the class AB, which is paired with the solid state mode, sounded more analytical. Again, very, very small. Like you really had to go back and forth, not fast. Give it a second or two to adjust. But it sounded more analytical, more, I guess not really tighter. That's more of the tube side, but it sounded colder, I guess. It's hard to describe it. Like when you actually have it on there between Class A and Class AB power, you can hear that what I'm talking about. But as far as the construction, that's really about it. As far as the construction features, that's really about it. Now, moving on to the sound. So how does the sound of the Cayin C9 sound? The sound of Cayin, and this is very subjective what I'm about to say. This is subjective. I'll get to my objective review in just a second. But I always enjoy it. Like what I like in music, which is a more musical experience, more of a slower tonality, more of a, I guess, a looser, very loosely bass, more just, I want to enjoy music. I want to just, whatever my feeling is, I just like to sit back, just relax, unwind, and listen to the music to take me away, and have whatever the headphones, the amplifier I'm using, even the DAC, I liked it to accent my personal preference. And Cayin has consistently performed to that regard as a subjective opinion. I just really enjoy that sound. Now, going more to the objective side, the sound in line, high gain, tube, Class A, very much so accented the Sennheisers. It was warmer. The tones were, I guess the bass was a little bit more accented on the Sennheisers than what it's usually. And it was just a very, like, notably warmer. Like the Sennheisers, which are already known for being a warm and a very musical headphone. It's one of the most renowned headphones, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic product. But paired through this, the C9 really, I think, highlighted the Sennheisers as close as it could be without being a true natural tube amp. Just the warmth and musicality, even the correct speed and the power output. I forgot to mention the power, which is, at 32 ohms is 2 watts. And I want to say at 350 ohms, and it's in the written review. I'm doing, this is all off the top of my head, but the actual specs are on the written. But plenty of power to drive those things. And it just, I had no complaints at all, because I can fully see why this is $2,000. I was like, God dang, $2,000 for a portable amp. But when you hear it, this thing performs as good, if not better, and I can actually say better than a lot of desktop units. Like, this thing really performs. Now, flipping to, I guess, the low gain, same settings, just low gain for my Empire's Hermes 6. Same results, however, for those of you who are familiar with my Hermes 6 are familiar with that they're very, or I guess, hypersensitive. They always have hiss. No matter what I'm listening to, they're so sensitive, whatever background, with a very small exception, there's a small amount of hiss and just overall static, I guess, is the way to describe it. And even with the $2,000 C9, it's very, very low. I mean, it's very low, but there is still, when you don't have music actively playing, well, when you do, but it's just hidden. But when you just have it idle, you still have the staticky sound of the background noise. Simply because, no fault of this, it's just that the Empire Ears Hermes 6, from what I understand, and it's a discontinued IEM now, doesn't have any kind of dampeners. It's just a pure, whatever the inner workings is of the balanced armature drivers. And that's what causes the problem. So even though the C9 is very low as far as background noise, it is still present. Now moving on to, if I could switch to solid state and then the Class AB, this is where I can see the traditional audiophiles keeping it at and enjoying it the most. The solid state timbre and the Class AB mode, the one thing I noticed was the bass got notably tighter, and I don't mean like notably as in like extreme. No, but you go back and forth between the two and you're like, oh, okay, that's much more tighter, more defined, quicker on the attack as the Class A mode and tube mode. The highs did extend very, very little bit more. I guess subjectively I didn't measure. I don't have any measuring equipment, just my own ears. But it just sounded more, I guess, for lack of a better term, true to how the it should sound. Things sounded more accurate on the Class AB solid state mode than it did on the tube Class A mode. Actually, going back to my Sennheisers right quick before I sum up my thoughts on the sound in my unit, in this unit as a whole. I mentioned the background on the Empire ears. However, on the Hermes 6 or any of the over-ear headphones that's normal sensitivity range, not hyper like the IMs, the background is dark. I mean, all you hear on this thing is just the music. You don't hear interference, regardless from the cables. Like, I guess that'd be more to do with the headphones themselves, but just you hear nothing but the music on traditional and standard headphones. Now, my final thoughts on this, or before I move to the final thoughts, this, in addition to all the other cool features I mentioned, has one that I've really been wanting more to implement, and is a very simple fix, at least in my opinion it is, but it's really cool. So say you have this 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, whatever batteries go, and you notice your battery life is just turning to poopy. Those of us with cell phones are already familiar with this. After about 2 years, cell phone batteries are poopy. With this, all you got to do, unscrew, this pops out, and you can just replace the 4 Sony, I forgot the abbreviation, but the 4 Sony rechargeable batteries with new either Sony OEM batteries or equivalent, and pop them right back in. Congratulations. You have a brand new battery that has been user changed. This feature, similar to their DAP, which you can change the motherboard on it, and you get a whole separate sound. You can upgrade the sound when newer ones come later. They add longevity to their products. Yes, that's actually even more so, because you were spending a lot. This is $2,000, $2,000 for this, and Cayin's is allowing users to have more, not insurance, but I guess insurance into their product, as in like, hey, you're spending the money up front. We appreciate and we want to honor your money towards us. So we want this to last as long as it possibly can, to have so we give you the ability to change out the batteries. Yeah, we could have charged you $200 to do that in-house, but we want to let the consumer have the ability to do that. Same thing with their DAP review not long ago. You can change the motherboard. Hey, we come out with a new, better motherboard, or a new motherboard that's just as good but a different sound. Done. That is so cool. I really hope other companies are inspired by Cayin and their innovation to do that. I really enjoy when they appreciate the consumer and allow the consumer the ability to keep their products longer. I can't get over that. Thank you. So my ultimate final thoughts on the Cayin C9, the portable headphone amplifier, is that it is, for those of you who are looking for a top of the line, in-game, end-all be-all amplifier, and you want the availability to be portable, to drive almost any headphone via the 4.4 millimeter output. 3.5 millimeter is quite notably lower. The stats are on written review. But to drive almost any headphone you ever want, to have longevity in the battery life, or shoot, battery life in itself, I think is like 10 hours. It's ridiculous how long the batteries in this last. Have just beautiful sound, and I have the capability of having, I want that tube amp musicality, or I want that solid state accuracy. You have it in one unit. You also want the performance and the capability of a home desktop setup, but to be able to take it with you to work, to vacation, to your hotel room, you have the ability to move it. Cayin and their C9 has taken care of it. The only negative I have, I guess there's two, is the glass back, and that's really something, even though it's a negative, I would not personally change. Subjectively, I just think this piece of glass adds elegance and just sense of luxury to it that I hope they keep, even though there are potential negatives of it possibly be getting scratched. As what is right here, it's already have a screen protector on it. Someone else can buy just a simple screen protector for it. And the $2,000 price tag, and again, that's a very subjective negative. Objective negatives, objectively speaking, I guess I do not have a true negative. It is, I guess objectively, the glass would be a negative, objectively speaking. Subjectively, I wouldn't change it. Subjectively, I wish it was a little bit cheaper. Objectively speaking, in respect to the performance you get on other products on the market, it's actually quite valid. So I can't, I guess they kind of cancel each other out. But anyway, my friends, I hope y'all have been well. I've missed y'all. If you have any questions or if there's anything I didn't clarify more, I am quite rusty. It's been, close to 6 months since I've done a review, I think it's been. But again, I love y'all. Take care. As always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure, my friends. But most importantly, and please I ask of you all, stay safe and God bless.